Night falls hard across Wolfpine Valley, Montana. The wind is a living thing, snarling, hungry, tearing through pine and rock as if it means to chew the whole world down to bone. Out on the ridge, beneath a moon blurred by blowing snow, Marcus Hale's life is hanging by a fraying thread. Marcus is 35, a broad-shouldered man with hands that have broken more than they've healed. Once, he was the pride of the county sheriff's department, running deep cover with his canine partner Luna, a dog whose loyalty burned brighter than any badge. But that was before the botched raid, before Luna vanished in gunfire and chaos, before the guilt set in and hollowed him out. Now, Marcus is alone, bound to a pine tree in the middle of nowhere. Someone stripped his boots, his phone is gone, and the zip ties around his wrists are biting deep. He can't feel his fingers. His breath steams in the air. Every gust threatens to finish what his enemies started, his body a frozen marker for nobody to ever find. His mind flickers through the wreckage of the past year, like a slide projector stuck on images he wishes he could burn. The girl he couldn't save, her voice echoing in his skull. The partner who went out on a call and never came back. Worst of all, Luna, gone in a flash of gunshots, swallowed by the forest's endless teeth. Marcus thinks he hears crows, but it could just be the wind. Either way, they're circling. Numbness crawls up his legs. He wonders if he'll just drift off, let the cold pull him under. But then, just as his vision starts to tunnel, there's movement in the storm, something big and silent, padding through snow. It's a dog. No, a wolf, he thinks at first. The shape is all wrong for a stray, lean, wild, every muscle taut beneath a patchwork coat of scars, and trailing behind her, a pup, smaller, all black, eyes wide with fear and hunger. The bigger dog lifts her nose, sniffs the wind, and Marcus's heart jerks sideways. That can't be. Luna? His voice cracks like ice. The animal's ears flick. She steps closer, and for a moment Marcus sees the ghost of his old partner shining in those gold-flecked eyes. Luna. There's no collar, but he knows. She recognizes him. He can feel it as surely as the pain in his wrists. The little pup, Orion, circles behind her, wary but drawn by the same pull. Luna approaches, sniffing Marcus's face, then the zip ties. She whines, a rough, guttural sound, and begins to chew at the plastic. Orion, trembling, copies her, tugging at Marcus's sleeves. Frostbite bites deeper. Marcus fights to stay present, focusing on Luna's breath steaming against his skin. The sound of teeth scraping plastic. He wills himself not to let go. Not now. His mind slips in and out, memories and present blending into something sharp and unfinished. There was that night a year ago, Luna darting into gunfire, yelping, then gone. He'd searched for her in the woods for days, blood freezing on his hands, rage eating his voice. He never forgave himself. Now the same dog, returned from wildness, is fighting to free him. It's too much. For a second he wonders if this is just another dying dream, another cruel flicker of hope before the end. But the zip ties are loosening. Luna is relentless, her teeth scraping, her eyes never leaving Marcus's. Orion tugs at his sleeve, desperate, pulling Marcus's arm forward. Suddenly the plastic snaps. Marcus crumples, unable to stand, barely able to move. Luna presses her side against him, her body heat a tiny shield against the storm. He tries to crawl, but his muscles are lead. "Don't stop," he mutters, teeth chattering. "Not now, don't stop." Luna nudges his shoulder, barking, insistent. Orion, clumsy but determined, grabs his arm and tries to drag him through the snow. They are a mess, a ragged trio, half wild, half dead, but together for the first time in a year. Above, the crows scatter, the wind shifts. For a heartbeat, Marcus feels something impossible. Hope. But the cold is winning. He can't see straight. Every breath rattles in his chest. Luna growls, tugging at his sleeve, refusing to let him give up. They make it barely, to a half-fallen tree, snow drifted against its trunk. Luna burrows beneath Marcus, curling her scarred body tight to his, sharing every ounce of warmth she has left. Orion presses against his side, whimpering, his heartbeat wild and desperate. Marcus lets the darkness take him, one last thought anchoring him to the world. Luna came back. Against all odds, against reason, his partner found him in the wild. The story isn't over. Not yet. Outside, the storm rages. Inside the makeshift shelter, 3 broken souls hang on to each other, suspended between death and something like grace. The world is white and roaring, wind clawing at the battered shelter of half-fallen trees. For hours, Marcus drifts between sleep and cold shock, feverish with exhaustion, but Luna won't let him slip away. She nudges his cheek with her scarred snout, then presses tighter against his side. Even in her wildness, she remembers the old ways, a partner's duty, the instinct to protect. He wakes as dawn breaks, colorless and thin, the light a watery promise behind clouds. Marcus's entire body aches. His hands burn with returning sensation, raw and swollen. When he tries to move, a jolt of pain shoots through his legs, but he grits his teeth, refusing to let the cold win. Luna's breath is warm on his neck, steady and rhythmic. Orion, the pup, is curled up by his feet, shivering but loyal. For a moment, Marcus can almost pretend they're back on the job, waiting out a stakeout in the canine unit's truck. But the snow, the wildness, the ache in his bones, all of it pulls him back to the now. His boots are still missing, and frostbites left angry patches on his toes. He knows he'll have to move or lose more than he already has. With trembling fingers, Marcus reaches for Luna. Her fur is patchy, new scars webbing her side, but her eyes, fierce, golden, meet his with a recognition so deep it hurts. She whines, tail wagging weakly, and he lets himself smile for the first time in months. "Good girl," he whispers. Luna leans into his hand, and for a second, Marcus feels the world narrow to that connection. He glances at Orion, the young pup, black as midnight with oversized ears and the clumsy limbs of the newly grown. Orion eyes him warily but scoots closer, as if drawn by some magnetic thread. The cold bites harder, reminding Marcus that reunion means nothing if they don't survive the day. He forces himself to sit up. The snow is piled deep, nearly up to his knees. His bare feet are purple, and pain claws at his calves. There's no sign of anyone else, no headlights, no rescue, just the 3 of them against the world. Luna sniffs the wind, then bolts upright, nose twitching. She moves to the edge of the shelter, hackles raised, every muscle alert. Orion mirrors her, tiny but determined, standing guard. Marcus's heart thuds. He wonders if whoever left him out here might come back to finish the job. But nothing moves in the trees, only the endless hush of snow. Luna returns, licking Marcus's face, as if urging him to move. He knows she's right. If he stays here, he'll freeze before noon. "All right, okay," he mutters, gritting his teeth. He tears strips from his undershirt, wraps them around his feet as makeshift insulation, and uses a fallen branch for support. Every step is agony. Luna and Orion flank him, Luna nudging him forward, Orion occasionally darting ahead and circling back, as if checking the path. It's clumsy, desperate teamwork, but it's what they have. Step by brutal step, they make it across the drift, Luna searching for a trail. She leads them toward a thicket where the wind is less cruel. Marcus collapses against a tree, lungs burning. He closes his eyes, dizzy with fatigue. A memory slams into him. Last year, the night Luna vanished. He'd heard her bark, sharp with warning just before gunshots cracked the air. He'd run into the chaos, yelling for her. Later, he'd found her collar in the snow, blood-spattered, the U.S. flag and his name still visible. He'd kept it on his desk, a relic of his failure. But now Luna is here, alive, bearing the marks of survival, scars he can barely stand to look at. She's thinner, wilder, but she's his, and she didn't come back alone. Marcus tries to focus on the present. He forces himself to examine his situation. He's got no food, no gear, and barely any strength. But Luna and Orion aren't wild by accident. They know how to survive out here. He'll have to trust them. As if sensing his thoughts, Luna noses his pockets, searching. Marcus finds an old energy bar, crushed and half frozen. He breaks it into pieces, sharing it with both dogs. They devour it, hungry but careful, never snapping at his hands. Orion licks his fingers clean, then sits beside him, eyes huge and uncertain. The day grinds on. Snow falls steadily. Marcus's thoughts keep circling back to the same revelation. Luna survived against all odds and came back for him. He can't decide if it's a miracle or just a twist of fate. He talks to the dogs, voice rough from disuse. "You found me. You didn't forget. I guess I owe you my life." Luna wags her tail, slow and deliberate. Orion inches closer, then, bold, puts a paw on Marcus's knee. Together they press onward, Marcus leaning heavily on Luna for warmth and balance. Orion scouts ahead, small and brave. They move in short bursts, pausing often. Each time Marcus wants to give up, Luna bumps him with her nose, insistent, refusing to let him surrender. As dusk approaches, they find a narrow gully sheltered from the wind. Marcus and the dogs curl together, sharing what little heat they have left. Luna's breathing slows, her head resting on Marcus's chest. Orion wriggles in beside them. In the growing dark, Marcus realizes something deep and quiet. For the first time since he lost Luna, he isn't alone. The world may be frozen and merciless, but loyalty, real loyalty, endures. The dogs could have left him. Instead, they saved him. As the wind moans over Wolfpine Ridge, 3 survivors press together, forging a bond in the heart of winter, one that nothing, not even the wild, can break. Dawn comes slow to Wolfpine Valley, the blizzard easing at last into a gray hush. The world outside Marcus's shelter is quiet, no wind, just the drip of melting snow from low branches and the brittle crackle of frost loosening its grip. But inside everything is soft with exhaustion. Marcus wakes to the muffled sound of breathing. For a long moment he doesn't move, half afraid that Luna and Orion are only dreams conjured by his desperate mind. But they're real. Luna's heavy body is curled against his ribs, her breath warm and steady, pressing into the pulse of his chest. Orion, smaller and more restless, has stretched out with one paw draped over Marcus's thigh, his soft muzzle quivering with puppy dreams. Outside the hollow, the light is blue and uncertain. But here, in this cocoon of shared body heat, Marcus feels, impossibly, safe. His mind drifts backward. The memory comes as it always does. The night Luna disappeared. It flashes sharp and jagged, shouts, the screech of tires on gravel, gunshots thudding through the woods, Luna's yelp vanishing into darkness. After that, there had only been silence, and the endless searching, the crushing guilt that clung to Marcus through sleepless months. That collar, still marked with his name and a faded American flag, was all he'd found. He'd turned it over in his hand so many times he wore the fabric thin, wondering if Luna ever blamed him, wondering if she was dead or lost, or suffering somewhere he could never reach. Now, lying here, Marcus looks at Luna, not the fierce police dog he lost, but the battered survivor she's become. Her fur is rougher, scars striping her side, but her eyes, those eyes, still carry something gentle and familiar. She presses her nose into his chest and sighs, as if anchoring them both to the present. Orion stirs, then clambers up to lick Marcus's face, his tongue warm and frantic. Marcus can't help but laugh, the sound ragged and soft. All right, easy, kid," he mutters, ruffling the pup's ears. Orion nuzzles closer, tail thumping against Marcus's leg. For the first time in a year, Marcus feels a piece of his old self stirring. It's not hope, not exactly, something more like possibility, raw and unfinished. Luna lifts her head, searching his eyes for some secret language only they share. For a while, they just sit like that, man and dog, old friends reunited by something wild and relentless. There's no judgment in Luna's gaze, only need and hope, things Marcus thought he'd lost. He pushes himself upright, hissing at the pain in his joints. He checks Luna over, gently brushing snow from her scars, whispering old reassurances. Her flank rises and falls with each breath, and when Marcus touches the spot where her collar once was, his thumb finds something hard under the fur. He parts her coat, and there it is. A faded strip of leather, nearly hidden, still etched with his name and the tiny flag. His chest tightens. He never thought he'd see that collar again, never thought he'd feel Luna's heartbeat against his own. Orion, sensing the shift in mood, butts his head against Marcus's chin. You too, buddy, Marcus murmurs, smiling despite the ache. Looks like we're all strays now. A new urgency rises in Marcus. He has to get moving, has to keep the little family alive. But for a while, he lets himself rest. The snow outside is both threat and sanctuary. They're hidden from view, their heat trapped in the hollow, the world reduced to breath and heartbeat. He drifts in and out of sleep, mind tangled in dreams, Luna chasing through snowdrifts, Orion yipping at shadows, the three of them running not from something, but towards some new beginning. Sometimes, in the half-light, he sees the girl he couldn't save, standing just beyond the edge of memory, silent but no longer accusing. When Marcus wakes again, both dogs are watching him. There's something steadying in their gaze, no blame, just simple presence. For the first time, Marcus lets the silence between them stretch. He doesn't need to fill it. Here, words aren't worth much. He takes inventory. His feet are bad, but not black. The makeshift wrappings have helped. His hands shake, but he can move. There's half an energy bar left, which he breaks into 3 pieces, letting Luna and Orion eat before he takes a bite himself. The sun pushes weakly through the clouds, lighting the snow with a gentle blue. Marcus studies the ridge, trying to guess where they are. The world looks different, wilder, more honest. When you've survived a night on the edge, he rubs Luna's ears, then Orion's. We'll find a way out, he promises, more to himself than them. Luna's tail sweeps the ground, a slow, deliberate wag. Outside, the crows return, hopping from branch to branch. One lands close, cocking its head at the strange trio. Orion growls, but Marcus just laughs, a brittle, genuine sound. Not today, friend. We're still here. As morning wears on, Marcus gathers his strength. The snow has stopped. The forest is quiet but alive. The far-off sound of a river, the creak of pine boughs, even the soft footsteps of animals moving through undergrowth. It's a kind of music, reminding Marcus of all he nearly lost. He glances at Luna's collar, his name, still visible through the grime and scars. He thinks about the people he's failed, the darkness he's walked through. Then he looks at Luna and Orion and feels something shift. The old world is gone, but a new one, however battered, is possible. They'll move on soon, but for now, they let the day break gently over them. Snow melts from the branches, dripping onto Marcus's shoulders. He doesn't mind. In the shelter of memory, hope stirs, fragile but stubborn. For Marcus, for Luna, for Orion, the story isn't finished. Not yet. In the morning hush of Sagebend, Montana, a battered Subaru rattles down Main Street, windshield wipers squeaking against fresh frost. April Dawson, 27, grips the wheel with white knuckles. Her eyes scan the empty sidewalks, searching for a clue, a sign, anything. The town sits on the edge of Wolf Pine Valley, ringed by white-capped mountains and endless pine, a place where everyone knows everyone, and where secrets, she's quickly learned, grow as deep as the snowdrifts. April hasn't slept for 2 days. She's been chasing leads for weeks, burning through her reporter's paycheck and her nerves. Her younger sister Tessa disappeared somewhere in this valley. No calls, no texts, just vanished. The local police offered sympathy and paperwork, but little hope. Now April's left with desperation and a crumpled flyer with Tessa's picture. She parks in front of the only diner open at dawn, the neon open sign flickering weakly. Inside, April's arrival barely registers. Locals huddle over coffee, boots caked with mud and ice, heads bent together in low conversation. As she enters, talk dims to a hush. She feels their eyes on her. Outsider, stranger, another story not to be trusted. She sits at the counter and orders black coffee, trying to steady her hands. The waitress, a woman in her 60s with a lined, tired face, slides the cup to her but doesn't smile. April pulls out her phone, scrolling through her notes. Every missing girl's name blurs into another, all swallowed by these woods. Her mind spins with dread. Is Tessa already gone? Did April wait too long to come? Her presence pricks the room. She feels the questions behind every stare. What's she doing here? Poking into things best left buried. April forces herself to meet their eyes. A silent challenge. But the locals just look away, murmuring about bad things up in Wolf Pine, about people who don't come back. After a while, a man in a worn flannel jacket slides onto the stool beside her. He's old Montana, weathered, sunburnt, eyes sharp under a battered cap. "You're Tessa Dawson's sister, aren't you?" he says, voice low. "I'm Ethan Voss. Used to be with Forest Service. I heard about your search." April's throat tightens. "Can you help me?" Ethan glances around, wary. "Maybe. But the valley's dangerous this time of year, and not just because of the cold." He pauses, then adds, "People go missing. Animals, too. Wolves, bears, even old canines. Like something's driving them wild. Desperation wins out over caution. I don't care. I just need to find my sister." She hesitates, then slides her press credentials across the counter, her last bargaining chip. "I can make people pay attention. If you help me, your story gets told." Ethan studies her, then shrugs. "There's an old snowmobile in my shed. Take it. On one condition. You stick close. These woods don't forgive mistakes." They drive out of town in silence. The road is barely more than 2 tire tracks, trees crowding the sky. As they climb higher, the landscape changes. Fences sag under snow, cabins huddle behind drifts, the world shrinking to a narrow corridor between frost-bitten pines. Ethan pulls over near an abandoned logging road, engine idling. "If your sister's alive, this is where the trail ends or begins." He hands her a battered set of binoculars and a thermos of coffee. "If you see anything strange, you tell me first. Don't play hero." April sets out on foot, breath steaming in the air. The forest swallows sound. Each step crunches, muffled by snow. Fear pulses in her gut. She calls Tessa's name, but the woods give nothing back. After an hour, she finds something. A splash of color in the white monotony. Tessa's pink jacket snagged on a thorn bush. April's knees buckle. She stumbles forward, clutching the fabric to her chest, tears hot against the cold. For a moment, anger and grief battle inside her. She remembers childhood fights with Tessa, laughter echoing in the backyard, promises whispered in the dark. How did it come to this? Why didn't she protect her? She drops to her knees in the snow, shoulders shaking. "Please," she whispers, "just give her back." The wind picks up, carrying voices she can't quite hear. She buries her face in the jacket, feeling hope slip away. Suddenly she senses movement, silent, careful, too deliberate to be a deer. April tenses, reaching for the small pepper spray on her belt. Out of the shadows, 2 shapes emerge. A large, battered German shepherd and a smaller black pup, both watching her with bright, knowing eyes. April freezes, heart hammering. The bigger dog steps closer, sniffing the air, then sits and waits. There's something almost human in the way it studies her, measuring, deciding. Ethan catches up, out of breath. "Don't run," he says quietly. "Dogs like this, they've seen things." April nods, slowly holding out her hand. The German shepherd edges nearer, her coat a patchwork of scars, eyes deep with something April recognizes, pain and longing, survival at any cost. The pup darts forward, sniffing Tessa's jacket. April realizes they're searching too, not for food, but for someone lost, kindred spirits in the wild. She lets the dogs lead her further along the trail, deeper into the trees. Each step feels like walking through someone else's dream, a place where animals carry secrets, where hope and fear grow wild. As night falls, April shivers under the weight of the valley. She glances back to see the dogs still watching, silent sentinels. For the first time, she feels she's not alone on this trail. There is mystery here, something ancient and alive, watching and waiting. The revelation is clear as the wind sharpens. These dogs are more than strays. They are guides, survivors, bridges between worlds. And in their eyes, April finds a flicker of the hope she thought she'd lost. Snow falls in slow, silent flakes as the forest thickens. April stumbles after the 2 dogs, boots sinking into drifts that numb her feet and scrape at her calves. Each step is an act of faith. Luna leads the way, moving with a limp that speaks of old pain, her eyes flicking back to check on April and Orion, the black pup, trotting at her side. Ethan's flashlight bobs behind, casting nervous shadows on the trees. It's dusk now, light leaking from the world. April's chest aches with each breath. She clutches Tessa's pink jacket to her chest like a shield, fear gnawing at the edges of her mind. The deeper they go, the less the world seems real, a world apart, ruled by snow and animal logic, where hope is fragile and every sound feels like a question. The dogs push through a tangle of underbrush, leading her up a slope of jagged rocks. The wind whips sharp and cold, carrying the scent of pine and something wild, smoke maybe, or the echo of an old campfire. April slips, nearly falling, but Luna stops and circles back, steadying her with a silent look. There's a silent promise in the dog's gaze, I won't let you fall behind. They crest the ridge and come upon a rough camp built beneath an overhang of frozen stone. A battered tarp hangs across the entrance, half buried in snow. The place feels abandoned, a secret held together by desperation. But as April draws closer, she sees movement inside. A man, wrapped in a dirty jacket, sitting with his back to the rock. His face is gaunt, eyes hollow with fever and exhaustion. He looks up startled, and for a heartbeat, April thinks he's a ghost conjured by her own fear. Luna rushes to the man, tail wagging. The pup bounds after her, yipping softly. April hesitates, then steps forward, adrenaline making her reckless. She holds out Tessa's jacket. I'm looking for my sister, please. Have you seen her? The man blinks, struggling to focus. Who are you? My name's April Dawson. My sister's missing, Tessa. She's 15, blonde hair. Her voice cracks and she stops, breath clouding in the cold. The man stares at her, then at the dogs. Recognition flickers in his eyes as Luna noses his hand. Luna, he says, voice breaking. You brought her. April's shock is replaced by confusion. You know this dog? He nods, coughing weakly. She was my partner. I thought I'd lost her for good. He looks at April, shame and relief mingling in his face. My name's Marcus. I'm a deputy, or was. The two strangers sit in silence, bound by exhaustion and the fierce loyalty of the dogs. Luna settles between them, pressing her body against Marcus and April as if to bridge the gulf of pain. April finally finds her voice. I don't know how I got here. I was following them. She gestures to Luna and Orion, her eyes filling with tears. I found Tessa's jacket. That's all. Marcus studies her, something like understanding dawning in his tired eyes. They have a sense for these things. Luna found me too, pulled me out of the snow before I froze. He hesitates, then adds, I lost everything when she disappeared. Thought I'd lost myself too. April wipes her nose, laughing bitterly. Me too. I've been running on empty since Tessa vanished. I thought maybe if I just kept moving I'd find her. She pulls her knees to her chest, shivering. But I don't know how much more I can take. Luna rises, padding over to April. She sits, pressing her scarred flank against the girl's knee. April hesitates, then strokes Luna's fur, fingers tracing the ridges of old wounds. There's a wordless comfort there, a kind of understanding April's never found with people. Orion climbs onto her lap, nuzzling her hand, tail wagging with shy hope. The silence stretches. Ethan stands at the camp's edge, uncertain. He's seen enough lost souls in the valley to know when to give space. The dogs, wild and gentle, are better at comfort than any words. Marcus stares into the dusk, his voice low. A year ago, we raided a cabin up near the ridge. Someone tipped us off about trafficking. Kids, mostly. Girls. Luna chased a suspect into the woods and didn't come back. I searched for days. I still see her in my dreams. He swallows hard. I guess I gave up on hope. April listens, heart twisting. She tells him about Tessa, her stubbornness, her dreams of leaving Montana, her gentle laugh. I promised my mom I'd bring her home, April says, voice raw. The air thickens with shared grief. The dogs curl closer, heat radiating through the chill. Then Luna rises, suddenly, ears pricked. She moves to the edge of the camp and paws at a snowbank. From beneath she digs out a small dirty glove, pink with a faded cartoon fox stitched into the cuff. April gasps. That's Tessa's. She was wearing it the day she disappeared. Marcus looks at the glove, then at Luna, awe and relief etched on his face. She's alive. She's got to be. For the first time, April feels the ice inside her begin to crack. The evidence is small, a child's glove, but it's proof, a thread to hold on to. The night closes in. The little camp is a pocket of warmth against the howling dark. April and Marcus share their food, breaking the last of the energy bar into careful pieces. Luna and Orion curl around them, silent sentinels. For a while, they just breathe together. 3 wounded people and 2 dogs, all marked by survival, all clinging to the same fragile hope. April stares at the glove, whispering promises into the darkness. Marcus closes his eyes, letting Luna's steady heartbeat anchor him to life. Even Ethan, watching from the edge, feels the shift. Hope, fragile but blooming, pushing back against despair. Outside, the wind howls, but inside the rocky shelter, a tiny sanctuary forms. Here, trust is earned 1 silent minute at a time. Here, survivors lean on each other, and the story, wilder and more mysterious than any of them imagined, moves quietly forward. The bitter dawn finds Marcus, April, Ethan, Luna, and Orion clustered close beneath the ragged tarp, each trying to summon the strength to move. The storm has blown itself out, leaving a world scrubbed raw and white. The only sounds are shallow breaths and the distant groan of settling ice. Even the birds are silent. April is first to rise. She hasn't slept. Her dreams are fevered flashes of Tessa's face, of hands reaching for help in the dark. Her fingers tighten around the pink glove, knuckles pale. She stands at the edge of the camp, watching the sunlight break across the snow, feeling that today something will change. Marcus moves stiffly. His feet are better. He'll keep all his toes barely, but his body aches with cold and regret. Still, something has returned to his posture, a set to his jaw, a spark behind his eyes. For the first time since Luna vanished, he has purpose. They gather what little they have. Ethan distributes half a thermos of weak coffee, sharing bites of a protein bar. No one says much. The night's revelations, Tessa's glove, Luna's return, hang in the air, too delicate for words. Ethan grunts, pointing to a ridge where the snow is churned up, unnaturally smooth. "Snowmobile," he says. "Fresh, last night or early this morning." He looks to April. "Somebody's moving through here. Could be who you're after." April nods, fire in her eyes. "We follow." Marcus shoulders a branch for balance and looks at Luna, who stands ready. "Lead the way, girl." They set out single file, Luna scouting ahead, nose low, Orion bounding after her, cautious but curious. The group moves slowly at first, the snow deep encrusted over hidden obstacles. Each step is a risk. One wrong move and a leg could break, or they could drop into a hidden ravine. But adrenaline sharpens their senses. April feels the world contract to a tunnel. The churned snowmobile track, the rhythmic crunch of boots, the dogs weaving in and out of view. She clings to hope and the memory of Tessa's smile. As they crest a ridge, the landscape shifts, pines thinning to reveal the jagged skeleton of an old hunter's shack. The roof is bowed with snow, windows shattered, but a fresh path leads right to the door. Luna stops, muscles taut, hackles rising. Orion whines, circling her. Marcus moves up beside them, holding out a hand to steady himself. He gestures for Ethan and April to hang back, then, after a pause, edges forward. The dogs move with him, silent shadows. The shack door hangs half open, swinging on a broken hinge. Inside, dust swirls in the weak light. Marcus steps in, senses on high alert. The place stinks of old animal pelts, spilled fuel, and something sharp, fear, maybe, or the echo of too many secrets. On a battered table, there's a map spread out, weighed down by a rusted lantern and a cheap cell phone. Marcus squints. The map is marked with symbols, X's and circles, some with dates beside them. Drop points, hideouts. It's a code, but not one he can break right away. Nearby is a plastic bag crammed with driver's licenses and student IDs, none with faces he recognizes. He calls April and Ethan in, pointing to the map. This is organized. Whoever's been moving through here, traffickers, I'm betting, they're planning something big. These aren't just missing girls, they're moving people, maybe across state lines. April's hand shakes as she takes photos of everything, heart pounding with both fear and hope. Evidence, real evidence, finally. Luna bristles suddenly, body rigid. Her nose twitches and she lets out a low, rolling growl that Marcus hasn't heard since their days kicking indoors together. Orion presses close, eyes wide. Luna edges toward a sagging trapdoor in the floor, scratching at the wood with frantic energy. "Wait," Marcus whispers, adrenaline flaring. He kneels, listening, under the floorboards. There. A muffled cry, then silence. April drops to her knees, tears spilling over. "Tessa?" she calls, voice shattering the quiet. There's another sound, faint but unmistakable. Two voices, pleading. Ethan wedges the trapdoor open with a crowbar from the corner. The hidden cellar stinks of mold and diesel. In the gloom they see two girls, wrists bound, faces streaked with tears. One is Tessa, eyes wide, hair tangled, mouth covered with duct tape. The other is a girl Marcus doesn't recognize, barely older than a child herself. April scrambles down, sobbing, pulling Tessa into her arms. I'm here, I promise." Marcus and Ethan help the other girl, gently removing her bindings. Luna and Orion push forward, licking Tessa's cheeks, tails wagging as if to say, "We found you. You're safe." And above them the light fades, but inside the shack something bright and raw blooms. Relief, joy, and the terrible weight of survival. Marcus checks the door, nerves on edge. "We need to move. Whoever left them here might come back." April finds her voice. "I'm not leaving you, Tess. Not ever again." Tessa, voice hoarse, whispers, "I knew you'd find me." The group scrambles out into the blue twilight, Tessa and the other girl bundled in jackets, supported by trembling arms. They move quickly, driven by fear and hope, every sense electrified. As the first stars appear, Luna leads them down a hidden path towards safety. The wind carries the scent of smoke, but for now, the only thing that matters is the sound of Tessa's breath, April's tears, and the dogs pressing close. A ragged family, broken and brave, crossing the divide between nightmare and hope. Night has taken hold, dense and absolute, as the group moves steadily toward the edge of Elk River. The landscape changes, pines giving way to frostbitten scrub, the wind sharpening with the river's breath. The only light is from April's phone, which she clutches with trembling hands, recording their progress for evidence, and perhaps for the world to see. Tessa leans on her, still shaken but alive, the other girl, her name is Casey, moving with cautious hope. Marcus, though limping, keeps pace beside them, eyes scanning every shadow. Luna and Orion circle the group like guardian spirits, hackles raised. Ethan leads them along an abandoned service road toward the old lumber warehouse, its silhouette hulking in the moonlight. For years, rumors have lingered about this place, a hub for something dark, where people and secrets disappear. Now, the building looms as both promise and threat, the final answer waiting inside. April presses live on her phone, streaming to her news outlet's private feed. "If anything happens," she whispers, "at least someone will know." She feels the weight of everyone watching, the world, the townsfolk, the missing girls' families, all invisible but close. Marcus gathers the group in a tight huddle behind a collapsed loading dock. "There are usually lookouts," he mutters. "Stay close. Don't move unless I say." He eyes Luna and Orion, who both seem to understand, ears pricked, bodies tense. He crawls first, flattening himself against the concrete, and disappears into the shadows. Luna follows, then Orion, silent as mist. Ethan waits with the girls and April, who forces herself to breathe slow and deep, heart banging in her chest. Inside the warehouse, the air is thick with sawdust and engine oil, laced with the tang of fear. Moonlight spills through broken windows, painting stripes across the floor. The place is a maze of stacked crates, tarps, and sagging catwalks. Every creak is a threat. Somewhere, a radio plays static-laced country music, the voices muffled and warped. Marcus crawls through a narrow air duct, barely daring to breathe. Luna and Orion slink beneath conveyor belts, keeping low. April, watching her phone, moves as Marcus signals, recording every step, every tense pause. Tessa squeezes her hand, silent tears running down her face. Near the warehouse's far end, voices rise. Two men, both armed, arguing in clipped, nervous tones. Marcus gestures, signaling April to ready her phone. Luna crouches, coiled to spring, her body a dark streak against the shadows. April holds the phone steady, her hands shaking but determined. This footage, she tells herself, will matter. People will see. A door slams. The men vanish deeper into the maze. Marcus motions the group forward. They weave through crates, breath held, until they reach a back room with a single flickering bulb. Inside, 4 girls are zip-tied together on the floor, Tessa and Casey among them. The other 2, older and bruised, glance up, hope and terror written across their faces. Orion barks, loud and sudden, a sharp crack in the silence. The guards whip around. Luna leaps, jaws flashing, tackling the first man to the ground with a growl that's half fury, half triumph. Marcus lunges, wrestling the second man for his pistol, adrenaline burning away the pain in his legs. The struggle is violent but brief, one man knocked cold, the other pinned, Orion nipping at his ankle. April, still filming, shouts into her phone, "We have them! We found the girls! Call for help!" Her words echo in the warehouse, broadcasting across the internet, unstoppable. Ethan breaks open the zip ties with a utility knife. The girls scramble to their feet, clinging to each other, eyes wide with disbelief and gratitude. Tessa throws her arms around April, sobbing with relief. Casey staggers, then lets Luna lick her face, her laughter broken and joyful. Suddenly, headlights slice through the windows, other cars, other people coming. For a second, panic rises, but then the flashing red and blue of sheriff's cruisers fills the yard. Sheriff Eli Brandt, grim and furious, bursts through the warehouse door with his deputies, guns drawn. He sweeps the scene, eyes widening at the sight of Marcus, the girls, and the dogs. "It's over," Marcus breathes, lowering his fists, Luna at his side. April turns her phone to Sheriff Brandt. "We have everything on video, every face, every room. The world's watching." Brandt nods, voice rough. "We'll get them all. No one's sweeping this under the rug." As officers secure the scene, April collapses against a crate, Tessa curled into her side, Ethan kneeling with exhaustion and relief. Luna and Orion patrol the edges, tails high as if daring any threat to come close. But the danger isn't done. Out in the darkness, a figure slips away, a trafficker, knife gleaming, vanishing into the woods. Luna stiffens, eyes tracking the man, a deep growl rising in her chest. Marcus sees it too. He's not getting away. Not this time. As deputies sweep the warehouse, the group regroups, battered but alive. April's phone continues streaming, thousands now watching. The whole country sees their faces, their fight, the wild, undeniable proof of what happened here. No one can look away. April hugs Tessa, whispering, "We're safe. You're safe. It's over." But deep inside, everyone knows. One last confrontation is coming, out there in the wild night. And this time, they won't be alone. The blizzard returns with a vengeance, swirling over Elk River and swallowing the world in white. Red and blue lights flicker, lost in a storm that makes the night feel endless. As deputies round up the captured traffickers in the warehouse, word crackles over the radios. One suspect still at large, armed and dangerous, last seen heading north through the woods. Marcus is already moving, a new adrenaline rising in his chest. Luna stands by his side, hackles up, eyes locked on the dark gap in the tree line where the last man fled. Orion bounces anxiously behind them, his puppy yelps muted by the storm's howl. April clutches Tessa and Casey close, huddled in the open door of a cruiser, watching with wide, terrified eyes. Sheriff Brandt shouts over the wind, "Stay here, let my team handle this." But Marcus is deaf to the order, years of instinct and guilt boiling together. He checks his battered flashlight, glances down at Luna, and sets off across the snow, tracking the knife-wielding man who still threatens to drag them all back into darkness. Luna follows without hesitation, her body low to the ground, nose twitching with every gust. Marcus's boots sink deep, legs aching, breath steaming in ragged clouds. The forest is a maze, frozen branches clutching at his coat, ice cracking beneath every step. Luna darts ahead, Orion close behind, weaving through trees with the confidence of animals who have survived worse. Minutes stretch and bend in the chaos of the storm. Marcus can barely see, but Luna's tracks are sure. She leads him to a ravine, where a boot print and a streak of blood mark the fugitive's path. Marcus crouches low, heart hammering, and signals for silence. Suddenly, a flash of movement. The man bursts from behind a thicket, knife glinting in his fist. He's wild-eyed, desperate, swinging the blade at anything that moves. Luna springs forward, barking furiously, Orion flanking her. The trafficker slashes at Luna, catching her shoulder with a shallow cut, but she doesn't flinch. She lunges, jaws clamping on the man's wrist, dragging him off balance. Marcus dives in, grabbing for the man's other arm. They wrestle in the snow, slipping, the world narrowed to the clash of bodies and the sting of cold. The man breaks free, scrambling to his feet, knife raised again. Orion throws himself in the way, barking so loud it rattles Marcus's bones. It's chaos, Luna biting, Orion blocking, Marcus fighting to pin the man down as the blizzard howls around them. The trafficker manages to shove Marcus back, but Luna launches again, this time going for the man's leg. The man swings the knife in a wild arc. Luna yelps, a high, pained sound, but refuses to let go, teeth buried in his coat. Marcus finds his footing, adrenaline surging. "Enough!" he roars, throwing his full weight against the man, driving him into a tree. The knife clatters away, lost in the snow. Luna finally releases her hold, blood staining her fur, and circles back, blocking the man's escape route. The fugitive is trapped now, cornered by 2 dogs and a deputy who looks ready to go through hell and back. The man glances at Marcus, at Luna, and for a moment something cracks in his face, a look of fear, then surrender. Orion, chest heaving, positions himself between Luna and the fugitive, barking in warning. Luna stands over the man, head lowered, eyes blazing. She doesn't move until Marcus grabs the man's arm, wrenching him to the ground and pinning him with a knee. Sheriff Brandt and his deputies arrive moments later, snow spraying from their boots, guns drawn. "Hands where I can see them," Brandt shouts, and the fugitive collapses, defeated. Luna staggers back, licking her wounded shoulder, Orion at her side. Marcus kneels beside them, running his hands through their fur, murmuring, "You did it. You both did it." The deputies cuff the fugitive, dragging him to his feet. One of them radios the news. "Suspect in custody. Repeat, suspect in custody." All accounted for. But the victory is bigger than a single arrest. April's footage, streamed from her phone and then from the body cams of arriving deputies, is already spreading. By dawn, the raid at Elk River is all over national TV. Faces, voices, details the town could never have hidden. Police in 3 states launched coordinated raids, breaking up a network that spanned county lines and preyed on the lost and desperate. As the adrenaline fades, Marcus feels the cold again, sharp and punishing. He tears a strip from his shirt, pressing it to Luna's shoulder, voice trembling as he soothes her. Orion noses in, whimpering, licking Luna's muzzle. There's blood and ice, but also relief, a sense that this, finally, is the end of the nightmare. Sheriff Brandt kneels by Marcus. "Your dog saved lives tonight," he says, voice thick with emotion. "So did you." Marcus shakes his head. "They saved me first." The storm softens, winds dying down as if the valley itself is catching its breath. Marcus lifts Luna into his arms, Orion trotting beside them. April rushes to meet them, throwing her arms around Tessa, tears streaming, Casey hugging Luna and Orion with trembling hands. It is a scene etched with exhaustion and triumph, scars, bruises, blood, and hope. For once, Wolf Pine Valley is lit by something brighter than fear. As dawn rises through shredded clouds, Luna limps at Marcus's side, Orion prancing ahead, April and Tessa reunited, Ethan and the other survivors pressing close. The world is battered but not broken, the line between human and animal blurred by courage and love. They walk back toward the waiting lights, their story no longer hidden, proof that in the wildest dark, even the smallest hope can blaze a trail to salvation. Morning in Elk River is soft, gray, and raw with aftermath. Snow still clings to the rooftops, turning the hospital parking lot into a sea of white, punctuated by police cruisers and news vans. Everything feels slow and hushed, as if the valley itself is holding its breath in the wake of what happened. The warehouse raid is already national news, faces, footage, and stories looping on screens from Montana to New York. For those who lived it, though, the real work has just begun. Healing. Inside the small-town hospital, survivors and their families gather. Nurses and deputies move quietly through the halls, offering hot coffee, blankets, and gentle reassurance. April sits in a plastic chair, her arm around Tessa, who's tucked into a too large hospital gown. Tessa's voice is thin but steady, her eyes never leaving her sister. Casey and the other rescued girls are near, clustered together like a flock of birds buffeted by too many storms. Luna is stretched out at the foot of Tessa's bed, her wounded shoulder stitched and wrapped. She stirs each time someone enters, alert but calm, tail thumping softly. Orion sits beside her, a bundle of energy and pride, his story already spreading through the staff, the brave pup who fought like a veteran. Marcus stands at the window, staring out at the snowbound town square. His reflection is a stranger, gaunt, bruised, but alive in a way he hasn't felt in years. He sips burnt coffee and feels the weight of the past week settle into his bones. He can't stop replaying every moment, the warehouse, the snowstorm, the chase in the trees. Sometimes when he closes his eyes, he still hears the wild wind and the sharp bark of Luna calling him back from the edge. Sheriff Brandt arrives with the morning news. He claps Marcus on the back, voice heavy with both pride and sorrow. It's official. The whole network's coming down. Raids in 3 states. Your dogs, your footage, April's reporting. It's saving lives already. He kneels to ruffle Orion's ears, his voice softening. You did more than bring the girls home. You brought hope. Marcus just nods, overwhelmed. They did it, he says, glancing at Luna. She found me before I froze to death, and she brought me back. Brandt smiles. That's what real partners do, and it's time she gets the credit she deserves. Later that afternoon, the town gathers in the square for a candlelight vigil. The cold is biting, but no one seems to notice. Survivors and their families stand in a circle, flames flickering in trembling hands. The mayor speaks briefly, words about courage and justice and the power of community. But it's Marcus, with Luna and Orion at his side, who everyone listens to most closely. He steps up, his breath misting in the icy air, and begins, I'm not sure I can find the words for what we've all been through, but I know this. When you're lost, the only thing that matters is that someone comes looking. Luna was lost for a year, and I was lost too. I gave up hope more than once, but she never did. And in the end, it was the dogs that saved me, as much as they saved anyone else. He looks at April and Tessa, at Casey and the other girls. This valley's seen its share of darkness. But last night, we learned that courage is refusing to surrender, even when the odds seem final. The bonds we share between people, between humans and animals, they reach across fear, across time, even across the wildest divides. Luna and Orion taught me that mercy for the wounded, animal or human, heals more than justice alone. It brings us home. There is a hush as he finishes, the flames trembling in the wind, faces shining with tears and relief. April squeezes Tessa's hand, silent gratitude in her eyes. Ethan stands at the edge of the crowd, his expression thoughtful, a kind of peace settling in after years of searching and loss. As the crowd disperses, Sheriff Brandt steps forward, holding a certificate and a shining badge. I want to formally recognize Luna as an honorary canine of Elk River, and Orion for his bravery will be accepted for training. The crowd cheers and someone snaps a photo. Luna, scarred but proud, wearing her new badge on a blue ribbon, Orion bouncing at her side, barking with joy. Afterward, as dusk settles over Wolf Pine Valley, Marcus finds a moment alone with April. They stand at the edge of the square, watching townsfolk drift away into the night. April's voice is quiet, almost fragile. I didn't know if I'd ever see her again, but your dogs, They gave me hope when I had none left. Marcus smiles, weary but true. They gave it back to me, too. In the days that follow, the slow work of healing begins. Tessa and the other girls start therapy sessions. Families reunite, each clinging to gratitude and the lessons learned in the storm. The town raises funds for trauma support and animal rescue. April's reporting draws national attention, flooding the valley with donations and volunteers. The core lesson hangs over everything, unspoken but undeniable. Real courage isn't about never being afraid. It's about choosing not to surrender, to keep looking for those who are lost, even when it hurts. The loyalty and grace of animals, their simple mercy, can heal wounds we never thought would close. That night, Marcus sits in the empty hospital lobby, Luna's head in his lap, Orion curled at his feet. He listens to the quiet, to the sound of hope returning, and, for the first time in a long while, lets himself believe the world can be made whole again. Spring settles gently over Wolfpine Valley, coaxing green shoots through the thawing snow and turning the air crisp and bright with promise. The trauma of winter lingers, but there's a new rhythm to the town, one defined by renewal, remembrance, and the quiet hope that even the deepest wounds can heal. Word of what happened at Elk River has changed everything. People walk with heads higher, the stigma of loss and pain lifted by the courage of those who fought, survived, and refused to surrender. In the heart of Wolfpine, workers finish landscaping the new memorial garden, a patch of land between the library and the elementary school, now framed by wildflowers and the budding leaves of young maples. The centerpiece is a bronze statue, a German shepherd, noble and alert, a small black pup pressed against her side, both gazing toward the horizon. The artist, a local who once lost her own dog to the mountains, captured in bronze what words could not: trust, loyalty, and the bridge between wildness and home. On dedication day, the whole town gathers. The rescued girls stand near the front, hands linked. Tessa, hair longer and eyes steadier now, leans into April's side, a smile ghosting across her lips. Casey and the others stand together, laughter bubbling up between them as if daring sorrow to return. Even Ethan is there, in a pressed shirt and clean jeans, looking every bit the man who once roamed the wilds, now content to be part of something lasting. Marcus arrives with Luna and Orion. Luna's wounds have healed, her fur now a patchwork of old scars and fresh new growth. She wears her honorary badge on her collar, head high, eyes bright with something like joy. Orion, grown stronger and more confident, trots at her side, already in early canine training with the sheriff's team. As they move through the crowd, children run to pet them, some shy, some bold, all eager to touch living proof that survival is possible. April steps to the microphone, her voice steady as she addresses the crowd. We came close to losing each other this winter, lost in fear, in the storm, in the wild, but we found our way back. What saved us wasn't just strength. It was the grace to ask for help, the courage to return for those left behind, and the hope that we could build something better together. Today, this garden stands for every life saved, every loss honored, and every bond that brought us home. The mayor reads a proclamation, dedicating the statue and garden to the heroes, canine and human, who remind us that justice is not only in punishment, but in building a world where no one is forgotten, and everyone has a chance to come home. Children scatter wildflower seeds around the base of the statue. The survivors are invited to tie ribbons to the fence, pink for Tessa, blue for Casey, green and gold for the others. Marcus ties a small American flag to Luna's collar, then steps back, eyes damp but smiling. For Marcus, the transformation is almost as much a mystery as the winter's trials. Once hollowed by guilt, he's found purpose in the slow, steady work of healing. He takes on a new role as community liaison, bridging the gap between law enforcement and the townsfolk. He helps train new canine units using what he learned in the wild and always gives credit to Luna and Orion, his partners, his teachers. April's reporting has sparked change far beyond Wolfpine. National funding pours in for rural anti-trafficking programs. Volunteers and counselors arrive, bringing new ideas and hope to the battered valley. Local schools now teach students not just about safety, but about compassion, resilience, and the deep wisdom animals can share. Sometimes, late in the afternoon, Marcus sits on a bench by the statue, Luna's head on his knee, Orion curled at his feet. He watches as families wander the garden, as survivors lay flowers or sit quietly beneath the trees. There's a peace here that wasn't possible before, a sense that the valley, scarred and battered as it is, has chosen to remember rather than hide its wounds. On the day before summer, a group of children ask Marcus to tell the story again. He gathers them close, weaving the tale of Luna and Orion, how loyalty and grace can change fate, how hope, once lost, can always be found again. He ends with a promise. The wild is never far from our hearts, but neither is home, and every day we choose mercy, we bring a little more light into the world. As dusk falls, the statue glows in the golden light, wildflowers nodding at its base. Luna and Orion settle beneath their own likeness, content and whole, surrounded by family and friends. The story's lesson echoes in every corner of the garden, in every heart that listens. True American strength lies not just in overcoming darkness, but in returning for those left behind. Justice isn't only the arrest of villains, it's the work of building a place where the lost are honored and the wounded are healed. The loyalty of animals, the courage to keep going, and the grace to forgive, these are what carry us home. In Wolf Pine Valley, the wild is still out there, untamed, mysterious, always calling. But now, for the first time, hope is never lost.